Hello, in this video I would like to show you my car. It's a Renault Megane. It's the authentique line. The authentique line is the cheapest line of Renault. It's even simpler than basic, so it's really the most basic trim line you can have. I bought it used a few years ago. I think a few parts have already been exchanged in the front. The owner before me has installed tinted windows in the back. I'm not a fan of that, but I also didn't have time or didn't bother to remove it. It has power windows in the front, but not in the back, and it has electric rear view mirrors on the side. It has analog display for revelations of engine and a digital display for velocity and fuel and temperature. It has no navigation system. I use my mobile phone for navigation, which is actually working very good. It has a very basic set of climate controls. You can change temperature, you can change fan speed, and you can turn off climate and on and off. You can change how the air is coming in. You have a basic radio built in. The audio quality of the radio is okay at low and medium audio levels, but at high audio levels the sound quality isn't that great. You have the start-stop button, you have a key, but it's not keyless, it's just replacement for the regular key. You have 12 volt 120 watt exit. You've got a 5-speed manual transmission. On the passenger side you have a mirror, and also on the driver's side there are 2 cup holders, one here and one in the front, but the one in the front is actually the space so confined you cannot really put a cup there. You can only put small things like coins. On the passenger side we have a glove box, which is I think very big and deep. I can put a lot of stuff in there. There's really a lot of space. The back row is a little bit tight, and the seat in front of me is set up for me, so it's a little bit tight for me. Generally, I would say for short rides it's okay to sit in the back or for small persons, but for long travels I think it would be cumbersome for big grown-ups in the back, but I think for kids I think that would be just right. The rear bank can be folded forward by pushing this button and the button over there. It's one piece, the rear bank. It's prepared for isofix. The trunk has an electronic lock. I have to press down here, then it opens. The trunk is maybe a little bit bigger than on other models of this size. It has a cover for the room beneath it. There is the spare tire and space for some tools. The original cover is a little bit thin, in my opinion. It bends if you put heavy stuff on it. So I added these wood panels, and they are just right. After I bought it, I added a towing hook, an aftermarket hook. It's this one. It goes in here. Like that. Voila. When they installed it, I got problems with water in my trunk. The water started coming in here and in this corner, and it turned out that the mechanics who installed the aftermarket hook, they didn't make the seals properly, where the hook is mounted to the chassis, like here and over there. First they told me that probably the water is coming down from here or from this backlights, but I proved them that it's not the case, because I poured water in here. I removed this thing and put water in here below the point of this light, and it still ended up in the trunk. So it was clear for everyone now that could only be from the seals of the hook, and made them new, and now it's dry. Since over 1 year no water came in anymore. It's difficult to refill the window water without funnel, and the usual funnels don't really fit. So I use a little trick. I use a gold bottle. I cut off the bottom, and so it's much easier to refill the water this way. You can do it even with one hand. Make sure to clean these spots regularly. There are little holes in there. Here. Same thing here and over there. So what does the car sound from the inside? hydraulic lifters. Engine is a 1.6 liter petrol engine. It's natural aspired, so it has no turbocharger. It has no exhaust recycling, so the exhaust gases are not coming back into the chambers. So I'm confident that it will last long because it has no gimmicks. It's a straightforward natural aspired petrol engine. And it's not too small for this car with 1.6 liters and 100 PS. The compression is reasonable. So the technology in this engine is straightforward. It's from the 70s and 80s, so there are no big surprises. But I think it's cheap to run, it's cheap to maintain. For everyday car, it's, I think, just right. I have the impression that my engine is making a little bit ticking noises, but they were there from the very beginning when I bought it used, and it first I didn't notice it, and then I made audio recordings in certain intervals, and it didn't change. So the sound of the engine stayed the same, and it consumes basically no oil at all. It consumes reasonable petrol. So, I think it takes me like 6.2 and to 6.5 liters petrol every 100 kilometers, but that's combined city and highway, so that's, I think it's reasonable. So it drives good, it doesn't vibrate, the sound doesn't change, so I have no idea what it is. My guess is that it has something to do with the cam gear, but at this point I don't even care, because the engine turned out to be reliable, and so what? When the timing belt has to be changed, I guess I will ask my mechanic to maybe to look into it. But if we cannot find anything, then that's it, whatever. So I think the workmanship on the car is reasonable. It's not the best in the world, but it's okay for the price, and it's well, practical. It does what it's supposed to do. It's not the most beautiful chassis and the most beautiful workings, but I think it's okay, especially for the price. It has got 5 gears, a manual transmission with 5 gears. That's okay for town, and on the land, but on the highway, maybe a sixth gear would be preferable, because when I exceed 130 kilometers an hour, it's getting pretty loud. So I don't drive a lot of highway, but other people who are driving a lot of highway, I think they will prefer the six gear transmission. As a conclusion, I can say I would recommend this car to anyone who is looking for a reasonable, simple but good car. I think it's practical, it drives nice, it's a nice ride, it's cheap to run, cheap to buy. It's I think it's a good possibility if you are interested in such a car. I think they are on the used market, they are undervalued. They are really massively undervalued, so you get quite a good deal with these cars. The Megane II have had a reputation of being faulty, but the Megane III, they have a quite good reputation, and I can confirm this reputation. I had no troubles with this car. One thing maybe to keep in mind, this car has a timing belt, not a timing chain. So every, I have to look it up, but I think every 100,000 kilometers or something like this, you have to change the timing belt. And with this engine, the K4M, the changing of the timing belt is not trivial. You should look for someone who really knows what he's doing, because it's not trivial to synchronize the two shafts, to keep them in the right alignment. It's easy to mess this up, because the engine has a quite old design. The more modern engines have tools to block the shafts in their correct positions. This engine has these tools for the camshafts, but not for the main shaft. When I bought this car, they made a new timing belt. That was part of the buying deal, that they would make a new timing belt. And when I received the car, the timing belt was off, and the mechanics didn't even recognize it. I told them that it wasn't done correctly. They did it again, and it was again off. Then I brought the car to another mechanic, and they did it properly. And the sad thing is that the first mechanic was a Renault dealership, and the mechanic who could do it right was a free mechanic. So it's really sad that the Renault mechanics couldn't correctly time their own engine. So therefore it's important to, if you make the timing belt, make sure it's done by someone who knows what he's doing, because this car, they can run with a timing belt which is slightly off. You will notice it by the idle gas. The idle gas isn't going steadily and smoothly, and the motor may have difficulties to take on gas. And in the worst case, even if in idle the engine is running, if you rev up the engine, since it has variable timings, That means one of the camshafts is changing its position in dependency to the revolutions. That could come to a collision, even between the valves and the pistons. So make sure if you change the timing belt to get someone who knows what he's doing. And otherwise, it's a great car. It's one of the few engines you can buy today which does not have a turbo, which does not have exhaust recycling, which is a straightforward petrol engine. There are not many engines left of this kind, so that was the main reason for me to buy this car.